Hello and welcome back to my channel, and we rejoin our characters having completed an exciting fight with a group of 16 giant rats led by the sleek and sly master rat Radagast the Black. He was slain in quite a gripping contest which had the characters put very much on the back foot. The tide finally went in their favour, and they managed to whittle the rats down to half their numbers. Having slain Radagast in the final combat round, the infamous blade has now become infamous. Darkslayer had severed Radagast's head from his body in front of all his squeaking compatriots, and they decided enough was enough, and they saw these inviting holes, which they had been using as ambush sites, as very good repositories for themselves to scuttle down and fight another day. So, like the previous group of rats, they decided enough was enough. They didn't have the numbers. They just thought, right, we're going to bug out. So that leaves the characters. Excuse me. That leaves the characters in a position where they are, four of them, all with various stages of wounds. So I've got a bit of housekeeping to do at this stage, and basically I've almost got like a list of points to get through. So the first off the bat is the rounds of combat that we took. So, you know, I've set them up the way that they were last time, the four of them, and with the rats scuttling away down this I think it must be, you know, I was going to say down a sewer, but they're basically gone down these holes in this point. Yeah, sorry, I just had to get a glass of water. This frog in my throat was getting a bit too I was jumping around too much. Yes, we have used up some rounds of combat, which is the first thing that we can do on our ready rec now. So if I get my little sheet out with my time management. Now, time management is vital in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, as you've seen, and it's very, very important to keep accurate records. So we had 4 rounds of combat, so we'll add them on. That's 4 and then 5, so we're up to 5 rounds in our, looks like our 4th hour, 12:30. We have to have a rest period of 1 round, oh sorry, 1 turn, so we'll add that on. And we'll say that this room, there's a bit of debris around and whatever, but it's not as disgusting as maybe any of the other ones. And we can shelter out in this corridor a bit. So maybe that's what the characters are doing. They're just sort of like taking 5 out in the corridor. Maybe there's quite a not a fresh breeze, but there might be air currents moving a bit more conducively to their breathing. So it's not too claustrophobic. Their hit points were, I've got a quick summary of what their hit points are. All characters are taken 2 wounds off the rats. So Tristan had taken 1 hit point, and then another wound for 3 hit points. And Arian had taken his first scratch, and then his second one. Lindris was very close. He had taken, through his amazing armor, I think on the second one, that was Radagast himself with his very sharp fangs. He really got stuck into Lindris. And then Dagobert, he's taken 2 as well. So this is their original, and this is now their hit points. So Tristan, he's down to 5, and Arian's down to 14, so he's still very strong. Lindris is almost critical because he's down to 1, and Dagobert is quite weakened. He's down to 2. So I would say that this might be a time to deploy the healing spell. You know, we've got a Dagobert who can lay on his hands, use cure light wounds, and I would say that should really be deployed now. If I get my player's handbook out, I think it's 1 to 8 that we can do. It's not a. Just double check. Heal light wounds, cure light wounds. Yes, 1 to 8. Upon laying his or her hand upon a creature, the cleric causes from 1 to 8 hit points of wound or other injury damage to the creature's body to be healed. Now, I suppose it is a bit of a debate about who he should heal first, whether himself, he's taken half, or Lindris. And being the kindly soul that Dagobert is, cleric of Bane, his primary remit is to heal his comrades and then himself. So he'll probably take the view that he should heal Lindris. Lindris isn't really making too many objections because he's not feeling that great. Maybe not feeling quite as impregnable as he has done in the past. So I think we'll get our D8 out, and we'll get Dagobert to cast his spell. So I'll get my D8, get my little shaker here. But I think I'll move my things along. I see that my camera isn't really showing the dice thrower up that well. So 1 to 8 points of damage. Oh, that's good. So he's really topped Lindris up. So he goes back up to 5. So we'll put revise now. So Tristan, he has taken a bit of damage, so he's got to watch himself. And Arian's fine. He's okay. Lindris is fine again. He's okay. And Dagobert, we're probably going to have to do our kind of human shield again on Dagobert and protect him. So we'll probably, when it comes to combats, we'll keep Dagobert back. Last time he got stuck in with his mace, maybe we would say to Dagobert, you know, maybe think about it. You know, we can form this almost like a phalanx, an impenetrable line. If you stay behind and maybe get any, you know, say the rats, if you squash any rats that came through. He was quite fortunate this time that he managed to. In fact, he was quite effective in the combat with his mace, but because he's got this low armor class, I think it leaves him quite vulnerable. And I think that's one of the things I'll do when we get back to March is revise, have Dagobert think about whether he needs to get a bit more armor, and see what we can do to keep his movement rate up. Because I think he's on a 12 movement rate currently, so you know he's faster than any other characters, so he could probably take a bit of weight, and so why not, you know, give him a bit more burden but far more protection. So we might be able to get him some chainmail, or maybe some better you know, studded leather armor or something like that. At least increase his armor class by 1 or 2. Okay. And then the other thing that we have to do is, because we've taken these bites off the rats, 2 of each, we're going to have to do the dreaded disease check. And according to the monster manual, in the entry for giant rats, which isn't too pleasant because this could disrupt our plans quite a bit. Now, I suppose the incubation period for any of disease would probably be a while. You're not suddenly just going to come out in spots immediately, and I'd probably give it a time, you know, until we got back to Marchton. Say we left now, but you know, having read some of the disease stuff, it is a big penalty. You know, we could have characters laid up for weeks on end, and potentially even dying from this sort of stuff. So, you know, it really is, you know, I might be being a bit trite about it, but it's actually very serious. So, returning to the rats, it says any creature bitten by a giant rat has a 5% chance per wound inflicted of contacting a serious disease. If such infection is indicated, the victim is diseased unless a saving throw versus poison is successful. So we've got 2 bites at the defense. we've got the initial 5% chance per wound inflicted, and if we do get infected, we can basically ward it off immediately with a saving throw, poison versus poison, to to effectively stop the process there and then in its tracks. So I just suggest that we just go ahead and do the check for the characters. So let's do Tristan first, because he's first in the line. And he has, for his first bite, he has a 5% chance of requiring a poison saving roll. Oh, he just missed it, 6%. So that's the first one. So, phew, so that was done. And the second one, oh, 80. That's okay, that's fine. And then Anarian, his first one, 90, he's fine. And his second one, ooh, that's close to a 9. So again, he escapes. So it's looking okay just now. We've got 50%. And Lindris, 52, first one. His elf resistance is helping. And a 67. Good old Lindris. Come on, Dagobert. You know, Bane is on your side. Bane will be helping you here. 77 for Dagobert. And then the second one, 94. Yes, we put off the disease. And having looked at the disease stuff this morning, we definitely don't want to go there, and we could get all sorts of horrors. So, phew, that's off the agenda. The characters breathe a sigh of relief. They don't feel like they're coming down with anything. There's no hot flushes or anything. We just feel a bit under the weather for Tristan and Dagobert. But Dagobert feels good inside that he's done the clerical thing of bringing Lindris back in. And Lindris, with his offensive capability and his defensive prowess, is a major asset for the group, because he can just form. In fact, he has sworn to protect Dagobert personally, and get in the line in front of Dagobert. So Dagobert's thinking that's probably quite a good trade-off for giving a bit of healing. Okay, next on the list is we've got to map this room, and that's going to take one turn to do, because it's a 20 by 20 chamber. So let's get that up, and we're up to 4. Yeah, we're getting pretty close to the obligatory rest period, and then the encounter check, the wandering monster check. So that's 4.5 rounds we've done. So we searched this entire room. I would say that there are some issues with this room. The fact that we've got the holes in the ground. We have to check for secret doors. There's no exits here, and this had on the Dungeon Master's Guide, it had that 0 with the asterisk, which means that there are secret doors present. So I would suggest that we check for secret doors ourselves first. The characters obviously don't know this, but let's see, it's a 1D, it's 1 to 5. But let's just see whether there are any secret doors. So we'll check here, 1 to 5. There is a secret door here. And here. There's not, and here. There's not, and let's get that up a bit. This one. There's not, and this one. Yeah, there is. Here. Okay. And let me just look at the map, because see whether we can actually go any further down there. Yeah, I would say that we can't really have a secret door there, because it goes off into oblivion. So let's say that we have our secret door here then, because we can't do it. I'll do an override, and I'll say that doesn't exist. I'll get my little rubber out. And our final one, 20, so no. So we've got a potential secret door here, and a potential secret door here. We haven't discovered yet. Okay, let's do, because Lindris and Tristan were in this room and they were mapping it out, there is a chance that they can use their spider senses, and it's a 1 in 6, and they think, oh, there's a good chance there's a secret door here. We kind of can detect it. So both. So no, they don't have any innate feeling. Maybe they're just going to use common sense. I think also we have the issue that we had last time in the room of what do we do with these holes, because you know, this is a potential weakness. These rats could potentially jump out at any moment like they did in the other room, and our solution to that was to rest the door off its hinges and place it across the rat holes. Now I think in this case, yeah, I think we have that option, because remember there was that awful door that we had to deal with back here. I would say that is a particularly stiff door and it's really seized up. So the hinges will probably be particularly seized as well. So there might be a penalty for Tristan to try and get that off. It's a doable thing, but it will take time. Or the other thing is I thought I could potentially kick in my mechanic, or high level. I haven't really completely fleshed out the mechanic of having a room contents check. I think I had a base percentage of 20%, and then if it was a greater than 600 square feet, I'd add on 10, and if it was greater than 1200 square feet, I'd add on another 10. Now this is less. This is 2 bytes. This is 400 square feet. So it is less. So I would say there's a 20% chance that we have some dungeon dressing here. And within that dressing, potentially there might be something that we could use as a cover for these holes. So let's see what we can do with that. So there's a 20% chance that we have some dressing. Otherwise, we may be going back to plan A, which is rest the door off. So 96. So there's nothing. The room is effectively virtually empty. There's just some debris and maybe some bits of rubble and stuff strewn. You know, the rats were hiding in the holes majoritively. We could say that there's maybe some rubble as well. And maybe bits of the roof has fallen in slightly, and you know that's lying around on the floor. But basically, there's not enough. There's no bits of furniture. There's no items like a bookcase or tables or chairs or anything like that. There's nothing of a structure that we could cannibalize and use on these holes. So we're back to the case where we've got a bit of a time management thing with our characters and what they can do in the meantime. So if we want to do this thing where we're going to cover these holes up, and I think the characters are quite cautious on that front. If they want to do more exploration. Now, do they really want to do more, or do they think they maybe they have done enough in this particular? Because if we just look at our time, I would still say that they've got at least another good couple of hours in them. Yeah. Well, they're going to have to rest in 5 rounds. So maybe Tristan can make a start. Or maybe what they can do is try to see if they can search for secret doors just now, and then have a rest. Yeah. Maybe that's what we could do. It's just the only thing is Tristan has got this amazing strength for us to get that door off, and that takes 2. We wouldn't be able to get it off in 5 rounds. It would take at least 6, because there's usually 3 hinges. Unless we could do some sort of random thing about the number of hinges that we had. Because I suppose feasibly the door could have just 2 hinges on it. 2 very big, strong hinges, rather than 3. We just assumed 3 last time. So shall we assume a probability there? Yeah, okay, let's maybe do that. Let's say that there is maybe a 20% probability. Let's say a 1 in 4 chance that it's got less than 3 hinges. So 25% chance that so it hasn't. So it has got. It's going to take at least six rounds to do that. So I think what the characters will do, they'll just go ahead and start searching for secret doors. So we deploy ourselves in our secret door mode, and I think, well, if we discover a secret door, we'll come back and maybe rest the door off. It really depends on what's beyond the secret door. And are the rats really going to come back in the short term? You know, maybe this is more a kind of a longer term solution. And again, it was a kind of ad hoc decision. It might not actually be vital that we do that every time. It's almost like we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's. Maybe we're just being over clinical in the way we're approaching this, and we should really start be a bit more risk takers, and not waste potentially at least 5-10 minutes on which is precious time down this dungeon, just putting a door on top of some holes. Okay, right, I'm convinced myself. So we'll have Tristan, Lindris on this wall, and we'll have Tristan on this wall, and we'll have Anarian. He can do his checking, and we'll have Dagobert with his lantern standing about here. He can illuminate the entire room, or maybe he could actually stand here, because then he gets even more illumination. Everybody can see well, and you can also see up the corridor too if anybody's coming. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, so that's the setup. Lindris needs a one or a 2 to do that. So that we'll have our little tally of rounds. It takes a round to check. So our first round, Lindris needs a 1 or a 2. No, he doesn't. Tristan needs, he can't there because it's not 1. So we move down to our second one, and Tristan moves here. Oh, we'll check on Anarian. He doesn't, because there's nothing there, so he'll move over here. Tristan has a 1 or a 2 to get this to find. He doesn't. So we're on to our third. So what Tristan will do is he will move here, and Anarian will move here, and Lindris will move down here. So these are nil point because there's nothing there. Anarian has a 1 in 6 chance of finding. Oh, very close. If he'd been one of the elves or half elves, he would have got it. So we're up to 4. We're just about getting a bit tired out. We're going to have a rest in a minute. So we'll go along here, and then we'll have Lindris. So they're not going to get anything special, and he's not going to get anything special. So we've got one more left. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, we've got 1 more left that we can do until so we'll have Lindris here, we'll have Tristan here, and we will have Anarian over. He goes over there. So on our fifth round, we have a 1 or a 2 that Lindris finds something. He does. He finds a secret door. And we have a 1 in 6 that Anarian finds a secret door. Oh, he doesn't. And then Tristan will not be able to find anything because there's nothing there. So we have found a secret door. Okay. Right. So if we get our time management thing out again, we have taken another 5. So that gets us, get rid of that, and gets us up to 5 here. So we're going to have to rest. We decide, oh, we're a bit tired now. That's been quite hard doing all that secret door searching. We have our wandering monster check. So we're up to another hour. We get our D10 out. So it's a 1 in 10 chance we get our wandering monster. Is it going to be? It's a 3, so no more wandering monsters. So we can start a new hour for our characters. I've got a little space down here at the bottom. We're up to, that's 1:30. And we've got nothing to carry forward, so that's fine. Yep. So we're starting just afresh at 1:30. Okay, so we do have a secret door that we have discovered. Linda says, "Hey, I've done it again. I've cracked it. I've cracked the code. I've found a secret door for us to open. It's going to take me a while to just work out the mechanism again, although I am getting pretty handy at this because they all seem to be following a certain pattern. So, you know, I should be getting a bit of a bonus for that, Dungeon Master, but let's just keep that between ourselves. I'm going to start getting cracking on this and seeing whether it can slide open. So we'll have Lindris working out the mechanism, and then we'll do what's beyond the door check. So we just look at our master map again. It's going to go into this space here. So we are limited by what we can get, but let's hopefully we get something a bit more tangible for us, because the disappointing thing about that large confrontation we had with the rat was that when we rolled for who was in the room, it came up monster only, so that was a bit disappointing. We didn't have access to any treasure rolls, which might have made the, a bit of a payoff for that quite an extensive combat that we got involved in. So we, the rats themselves would have nothing, and it's not like a lair or anything, so there was no check there. So we'll have a space beyond the door. We'll just do a D20 for that. So I've got the D20 ready. We get a 5, and a 5 is a passage straight ahead. So we are a bit limited because a passage straight ahead will be a minimum of 30. So yeah, that's going to go off our map. So maybe we should re-roll and see if we get something that fits, fit to purpose. So we roll a 9, and a 9 is a passage 45 degrees ahead or behind. So I suppose we could have a 45 degree, but then again that will come off. So again, I think we're kind of limited to maybe either a parallel passage, which is 1 to 4, or a room or a chamber. Okay, so we'll just roll it again because they are quite strong chances to get them. A 19. So that is a chamber. We go to table 5, which is this one here, our favorite table 5 table. And we have to get a pretty small one or a pretty wide one. We get an 8, which is square 40 by 40. We cannot do a 40 by 40, but we could do a 40 by 20. Yeah, we could do 40. Yeah, so let's try and get it to as close as possible. We'll get a 40 by 20 on the go. Right, nothing too out. So we can do 40 by 20. So I've already got my spaces made up here. So if I just do another 2 here on my ruler. And we really are kind of at the end of the world here. And that's why I've had to make kind of, and this is maybe where I'm almost like getting, you know, for want of a better expression, getting my knickers in a twist a bit about this edge of the world thing and having to have these constraints. Because if I could say maybe have a rule, a house rule that says, if we come to that, I'm allowed to go for one deviation past, and we go on to another sheet of paper. Maybe that's the way to do it. And then say thereafter there's no more expansions into that area. Maybe that's the way to do it. I suppose the advantage is that it does keep the dungeon contained and almost semi-sensible in, you know, the setup. It doesn't just keep on rambling off into all sorts of directions. We've kind of kept it focused in this general area, but again, you know, sometimes, you know, it's a case of swings and roundabouts. You know, are you gaining or are you detracting from the overall play? Okay, on the chamber, we'll have our number of exits, and we'll get our d20 out for that. So let's see what we get on that score. And we get a 20. Oh, 20. So it's a door in a chamber, 1. Oh, so this is the unusual one, isn't it? Any size, door in a chamber. Okay, so, and where is the door? So I would say it can't be on the opposite, and it can't be on the left. So it's going to have to be on the right. So that's the only place it can be. So we'll do. So that's a good limiter. We didn't really have a choice. So is it 1 to 3 here, 4 to 6 there? So we've got a door here. Okay. And then we have to do the inevitable. What's actually in this chamber? So our chambers and our rooms have been slightly different to the original standard, where your chambers are only supposed to have passages, and your rooms are only supposed to have doors. And we've been kind of going off-piste a bit on that. 18 is special. Special. Right. Okay. So that's the special. Special, determined by balance of level, or put in what you desire. Otherwise, put in stairs as in. Okay. All right. So a Dungeon Master guide actually says, put in what you desire. Okay. So this is level 0, remember? Okay. So special, or contains stairway up 1 level, 1 to 5, up 2 levels, 7 to 8, down 1 level, 9 to 14, down 2 levels, 15 to 19, or down 3 levels, 2 flights of stairs and a slanting passageway, 20. Yeah, I think we'll just go for the stairs thing, because you can put in what you desire. I don't think that's really, I don't really know what I desire on this thing. Yeah, that's a bit of a strange thing to say, but I think we'll go for, you know, because if, you know, my desire would be just to have treasure without a monster would be nice. Yeah, treasure 20. But yeah, I think we have to go. We'll go for the stairway. Yeah. So this chamber that we've just generated has got some form of stairway. So let's find out what the stairway is. It is 15, and 15 is down 2 levels. 15 to 19, down 2 levels. Okay, so I would say the direction for that would have to be, let's do it going back into. So maybe there's a staircase. This is maybe where I can use the special thing and just say, do it as you would think. So I think I'm going to have a staircase starting in this room from this point and going downwards this way, northwards, and it's starting to descend from the middle of that room here downwards, and it's going down there. And what it does is it goes down 2 levels. Now, on 2 levels, we're on 0, so it'll go down to level 1, which is our initials, this one here, level 1, and then it goes a further down to level 2, which was where we had our chute take us, and remember we met our dwarves, so that takes us all the way down there. So we've got another access, which is reasonably straightforward, which is nice to know, that will take us all the way down to level 2. So that's useful to know for future reference, I think, that we can get down to level 2 by doing this route that we've done already, and not maybe having to navigate this chute. Just a bit out of camera, this chute up here, where we had to you know, I think it took us by surprise, the chute last time, although we did have a way to navigate it with a rope and stuff. But this is maybe a bit more of a civilized way to get down, just on a flight of stairs. Okay, so that's quite an interesting discovery. So no monsters, but a stairway going down 2 levels. Right, okay, noted. I think the characters can come in, they can do a bit of mapping on this. So that's going to take 2 turns to map that. So we'll get our master time thing out, and we'll do two turns to map that room. We see down in the gloom going down, and Linda says, "Oh, I think that goes down quite far." Maybe we could try to explore it now, Dagobert, do you think? And Dagobert says, well, I don't know. I think maybe we should just try to stick to this level. We do want to remember, we do want to go back. Our primary mission was to get some of the water from this magic pool and take it back for analysis. I think that's our primary objective. This could be something for another day if we came back. And Arian says, "Yeah, I think you're right, Dagobert, because I sense with my ranger senses that this goes down quite to a deep level in this complex. I think we need to be prepared for maybe if we come next time, we come straight to this location and then proceed down with caution." And they all come to a bit of a consensus and think, well, that's a good idea. I think that's what we'll do. But in the meantime, we can go through this door here and see what's here. And Dagobert's saying, right, I think after we've done this, I think maybe we need to just take stock of where we've got to. We've already got a few bits of treasure. If we went to the pool and extracted what we needed, we could take it back to Marston, get it analysed. And then with this extra knowledge that we've got, come back and maybe explore down to level 2 or whatever level it goes down to. He doesn't really know because we haven't really gone down these steps to try and work out how far down it goes. We just know that it goes down beyond where we've been before. Okay, they think that's a good idea. So I think we're going to try to get this door open. We'll do the old heave-ho. We'll have the 3 characters. We'll have an Arian ready with his bow, like he usually does behind, and then we'll have the other 2, Lindris and Tristan, put their backs into it. They'll give it a good old mighty shove. And we have Tristan does the business for us. So the door opens. And we'll get our 1d20 and say, what is beyond the door? So we get a 2, and beyond the door, on a 2, is a parallel passage, or a 10 by 10 room if the door is straight ahead. So it's going to be a parallel passage. Now the only way we can't do a parallel passage, can we? Okay, I think in this case, I am just going to make a ruling and say that we have a door that's 10 by 10, and we'll basically almost lock this part of the dungeon off. So let's have a little room that's 10 by 10, and this could be like a little storeroom or something like that that's just being used. I just hope it doesn't got any rock grubs in it, which would be quite horrible. And let's see if there's any exits. So we'll get our D20, and we get a 2. And the number of exits is 1. So we can have it here or here. So we'll have 1 to 3, it's on our left wall, and 4 to 6 is straight ahead. So it's on the left wall, there is a door here. And let's see what the room contents are. It's 11, it's empty. Okay, right. So we've got this door here. Are we tempted? Are we tempted to go again? I think it's got to be done. Let's find out what's beyond the door. We have a 6. Beyond the door is a passage straight ahead. We can't do that, remember. We'll just do another one. We'll have a 3, a parallel passage. Yeah, well, we could do a parallel passage. It could almost like go up to there. Yeah, let's do that. And what happens is that this parallel passage, so that maybe means there's a secret door up there, or just a dead end. Yeah, let's do that. We'll do a parallel passage up to here, and it ends in a dead end. Yeah. So this could be used for all sorts of purposes if you think about it. Because if you try to rack your brain about all, why is this existing and whatever, you could I suppose dement yourself, because you're trying to shoehorn a random generation into something that's logical. But in this instance, maybe these are little boat holes or hiding places, or maybe this corridor is being used as a kind of store area. That's kept behind here under lock and key. Who knows what is. But basically, we just peer down here and we think, oh right, okay, it's basically a corridor. So I think for the sake of completeness, we'll actually map that, and that will take us 3 rounds. And then I'll have a quick look and see what we're doing time-wise. There hasn't really been much action, I think, on this one, but that sometimes happens, doesn't it? That takes us 3 rounds to map that. Yeah, maybe we just have to realise that this particular episode is just a bit more low-key. And these things happen, I suppose, when you are solo playing. You don't have action all the time, and I think that's just perfectly natural. I've quite enjoyed my little bit of doing logistics and trying to work out. The disease checks was that's like a monster in itself. The fact that they managed to fend off that, and I might actually start bringing in this this mechanic where I do the room contents. I think I quite like that, the fact that we might be able to have some more options when it comes to rooms and do something concrete. I think I want to leave this on. There's one thing, I suppose it's a bit like a semi-announcement on the channel. And when I started this channel, I wanted to do play the role-playing games I particularly liked. And I've started off with the big daddy of role playing, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. This was my first real kind of love of role playing, and then I've moved into the science fiction territory of Traveller, and that is almost ready to start going live. We've done a lot of the ground rules, the groundwork. I've just got it started in what I call my Dragon Hotel, where we're going to have a little mini game. And the third area that I wanted to look at and do my own kind of spin on was this this game here, RuneQuest. Now, I went on to, I've been trying to look for a hardback version of the second edition. And what Chaosium did in 2016, I think it was, they created what was called their Classic Edition. There it is down there. And it's this lovely hardback version that they've done. It's a beautiful book. It's got these lovely, it's almost like silky pages. It's not your standard, just your paper. It's this really smooth, silky pages, beautifully printed. It completely faithful to the second edition. And I thought, right, I'm gonna have to get my hands on a hardback and do the same kind of thing for RuneQuest, because if you look at my originals, now this is the RuneQuest 2 version that I've got just now, and look at it. It's got all sorts of horrible marks in it. I think basically the spine has really had it. I've been gluing it and doing all sorts of things. Now, I was looking at this in quite a bit of detail. I don't know if we played RuneQuest 2 as much as we played this thing. I know this really is an antique. Now, this is my original RuneQuest first edition. It's in bits and pieces just now, because it's had some major usage. This and this has got, some of the bits, they're very quaint. That fact is like typeset, these little things, little tables. It's like someone's got a typewriter out and put it in, and they've just inserted that. And I've got even some of my little scribbles on it, which you shouldn't really do. And I'm sure we played this one, this version, edition 1, the most. And that's where I've got my happiest memories of RuneQuest. Now, just to kind of short circuit this fact, I'm just going down nostalgia lane. I did say that when I started the channel that I wanted to do RuneQuest as part of the overall one of the delivery forms as part of what I suppose what you would call in modern parlance the channel's offering, and have a solo RuneQuest campaign. Now, I think I'm ready to maybe start thinking about it. I still want to get the Traveller one, basically its hands dirty, and basically get some adventuring going and some real, using some of the Traveller mechanics before I even start thinking about the RuneQuest. But this is definitely on the agenda. If you're a RuneQuest fan and you're into the first edition and the second edition, I think you're going to quite enjoy this. I think the only proviso I had was I didn't want to use the Gloranthan setting. Now, that might sound, whoa, you can't do that. But I think what I want to do is really use all the richness of the RuneQuest rule set. And in fact, still have things like cults and all the magic and the classical feel, but just use it on my own generated background. But this background will be very similar to, it's almost like if you picked up RuneQuest, this version, the first one, back in 1977, because this was all that we had, apart from maybe the game White Bear, was it White Bear Red Moon, or it was something like that. That's all we knew about Glorantha. So it was very sketchy, the information. And I want to try and put yourself in that same position where we've got this very sketchy view of what, it's not Glorantha, but it'll be something very similar. So I will probably still have something like a Lunar Empire in it. I will still have a lot of the barbarian type tribes. I will have all the non-human races, but it just won't be set in Dragon Pass and Sartor and Prax, but it'll be something quite similar to that. But maybe a lot of the names changed, and just the overall geography will look different. But I want to keep the same kind of overall feel, because RuneQuest had a very distinct feel. I played it, I suppose I had the advantage that I played it with a group of gamers that were quite different to any of the other gamers. It was like a different group I played with. They were different friends. And they were into lots of different things. They were very much into like heavy metal music and whatever, which I wasn't really too into. And, you know, things like Jethro Tull, and they had like, you know, probably the closest I got was they liked Talking Heads, and that was where I maybe had a bit of a cross-fertilization. But they were really into kind of strange sort of like almost like hippie music and whatever, which I kind of tolerated because I used to play that in the background because I was having so much fun playing this. But it gave me a completely different experience to Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. So I want to try and do that for this guy, this RuneQuest, using this nice thing. And I also want to do it, provide a solo campaign that is distinctly different from my Traveller one and my AD&D one, and try to come up with some very novel and my own mechanics of how to do a solo campaign. So it won't be just like get the random dungeon out and do this and basically go through all the different steps that I've been doing on the AD&D one in a very mechanistic way. I want to introduce my own spin on how to do a solo campaign, and it'll be quite a narrative type of driven delivery vehicle, in the form of I think my central mechanic will be use of like options, and I'll come to any point where I have to make a decision based on a kind of checklist of where I should be going in the campaign. Whenever I come to a point where, say, I have to decide on what the starting settlement is, I will have maybe 3 options that I will randomly select, and that will determine what it is. And it'll be quite fleshed out, those options, but I'll be still using a random determination. When it comes to maybe characters' backgrounds, I might have 3 options for the character, and I will randomly select. So anything I come to will have this 3 option type of mechanic. A bit like my rule of 4, but on steroids. You know, and that will be the driver for this campaign. And I'm just wondering, you know, I just want to do almost like a bit of an experiment and use it with this really quite sophisticated rule set, because the combat system in this is just amazing. And if you see this in action, I think you'll be quite it'll be quite entertaining to see the RuneQuest combat system being played out faithfully. And it's one of the combat systems, I do actually know it quite well, and I think I could do it quite a bit of justice with my little counters jumping around and chopping their arms off and getting all the different hit locations. So that, you know, I just, you know, hot off the press, I got this at a very good price. I was really quite delighted, absolutely delighted with the quality. You take this off, look at this, it's got this beautiful leatherette cover. You know, it's absolutely gorgeous. I'm quite delighted with it. It's going to be used as my main tool for having a RuneQuest 2 solo campaign coming to this channel soon, but not that soon that it's going to divert from the other ones. And again, on the release schedule, it will be probably every 2 weeks on this one, because I don't want it to eclipse any of the other 2. The AD&D's primary is 2 a week, Traveller secondary 1 a week, RuneQuest every 2 weeks. You'll get the RuneQuest fix. Okay, that's all I want to talk about today. We'll return to the characters, maybe a bit of an uneventful session, but that happens. We're probably going to have a bit more entertainment next one. We'll be probably doing a bit more exploration until we reach that awful witching hour where we think we don't want to be heading back over Dunmorna in the dark. Let's cut our losses and get out, get a sample from that magic pool, and return to Marchton and the comforts of the Green Dragon. Okay, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.